Here's it's a story that starts out with no cooperation from Bill Belichick or Jordon Hudson, but there is some reporting. Jordon Hudson was participating in a Miss Maine contest that Bill Belichick attended. The reporter went there and then wrote this entire story, a pretty long story, about Bill Belichick and Jordon Hudson and how Jordon Hudson's kind of making a mess of Belichick's legacy, reputation, and PR. And there's some anonymous quotes or quotes from unnamed sources at North Carolina that paint a pretty bad picture like, man, this is going to be a crash landing. Jordon Hudson, 24 years old, a cheerleader, still involved to some degree with cheerleading, still involved with beauty pageants. A young child has been invited into Bill Belichick's life and playing a critical role in Bill Belichick's life. And so let me call up the second quote that I sent you first, not this one. Let me call up the second one that I sent you. This I thought was a key excerpt in this story. And this is about Belichick went on CBS Morning News and was getting interviewed about his book. And if you remember everybody talking about it, Jordon Hudson interrupts and says, hey, we don't want to talk about that, or we're not talking about this as it relates to how they met. And that was a part of a book promotion that Belichick has out about his father and about his coaching legacy and career. Well, that's all been overshadowed by his relationship with this 24-year-old woman. And the book is not selling. But Bill Belichick, again, here he is basically the Tom Landry, the Vince Lombardi of his era, the winningest Super Bowl winningest coach in the history of the National Football League, trails only Don Shula in terms of number of wins in the NFL. By all accounts, Bill Belichick is the most legendary football coach in the history of football. And he's put out a book that will not sell, and it's because his legacy right now is trash. He's undermined his entire legacy, and part of it has been when he ran off Tom Brady and things didn't go well for the 2 or 3 years he coached after post-Tom Brady, and then he gets fired. But a big part of it is Bill Belichick is making a fool of himself with this 24-year-old sugar baby. And so they write in the Washington Post, as the May 6th book release approached, promotion slowed to nothing. Pre-sales underperformed, the person said. The clip of Hudson attempting to control a puff piece interview had overshadowed the contents, if not the existence, of Belichick's book. And then they quote an anonymous source. She's not good at what she's trying to do, the person said. And how could she be? She's 24. That pretty much summarizes the position Belichick has put himself in. He is right now living the purposeless driven life. And when I say purposeless driven life, what I'm talking about is what's happened to a lot of men. And this is where Diddy connects into this. If you've been paying attention to the Diddy trial, at no time, I believe, in the history of mankind, or at least in the last 200 years, this is my belief. You all correct me if I'm wrong, please. And I say that in all seriousness. Send me an email, fearlessblazeshow@gmail. Hop in the chat. Get my attention in some way. Shamika, whoever's paying attention to the chat, maybe someone has a conflicting narrative than what I'm about to present. But at no time in the past 200 years, I'll just go back that far, have men been more controlled by their sexual lust than we are today. And we have no purpose. We are purposeless. Rick Warren, the minister, wrote the book, The Purpose-Driven Life. We are now living in the purposeless-driven life era, where men think constantly about sexual conquest. And some of you are saying, well, that's not me. I don't. And I'm like, yes. Even those of you that are living a righteous life, you're thinking more about sex than at any time, I believe, in the past 200 years, and I believe longer, but I'm just going to limit it to 200 years. And much of this is outside of your control. It's 200 years ago, 100 years ago, we didn't have these smartphones. We didn't have little laptops that we carried around that put sexual content in our face constantly. And I know some of you are like, hey, I'm not on those apps. I'm not on Pornhub. I'm not on these social media apps. But more men are, and even if you're not, let's say you just like to go to ESPN and check scores. Let's just say you like to shop at Amazon online. Anytime you hop on the internet in ways that you're not even fully aware of, there's sexual content and sexual innuendo being floated into your brain. Everything that we've been talking about this week as it relates to fatigue and black fatigue and feminism and the matriarchy. Bill Belichick, this is the road to a matriarchal culture everywhere. It just won't be among the black demographic. This is the road, this is the path to the matriarchy. Women rule in this purposeless driven life that Bill Belichick is living. Women, look at this Cassie Ventura that we've put on this pedestal. She's a victim. She's in court testifying to sleeping with countless numbers of men, letting them piss on her, drinking their piss. She's the heroine. She's the hero in this story. A concubine, a thought. She's got all the power. She is potentially going, and I'm not simping for Diddy. Diddy put himself in this position, but she is basically going to be in position to put Diddy in prison. This is a society and a culture that will be ruled and dominated by women. And those of you that are running around with this flawed, foolish thought that women have some special level of morality that men don't, you're lying to yourself. Go read what's being testified to in open court from Cassie Ventura and these other witnesses. These women have no special level of morality. You could make the argument they're far more immoral than us. I couldn't imagine having a daughter, a sister, a mother, sitting on a stand talking about 13, 14, 15 different dudes and 3 and 4 day freak offs where people got to do any and everything for, and her now husband is sitting there listening to this. But in this world, this purposeless driven life that we have adopted, it's going to take some real extreme measures to course correct. There's going to have to be a loss of what is being defined as freedom. We're going to have to lose some of that freedom. Just people walking around half naked everywhere, people just posting half naked pictures or naked pictures of themselves everywhere. Every time you click on Twitter and you're just scrolling down, it doesn't, and the algorithm, it gives you the content that you want. You must have clicked on something that said you wanted a bikini shot every time you scroll down Twitter. Oh, if you click on ESPN and there's a Temu ad suggesting sex, that's because you clicked on something. They're always blaming you, not the system that they created, not the culture that they created. That sex must be centered everywhere. You can't convince me that every television show must have some sex scene in order to be entertaining. This is a sexual psyop. This is being done intentionally. If you sexualize the entire culture, men will fail and fall and more power will be handed over to women. That's how you create a matriarchal culture. And what I've been telling you on this show, if you want a matriarchal culture, go look at the lab rats. Black Americans, we have a matriarchal culture. Look at our kids. You want that for all of American society? And you think, oh, well, if we just segregate or eliminate or do something about black people, it will all go away. You're kidding yourselves. You're so unbelievably naive and stupid, unread. You don't understand the big picture. Bill Belichick, what he's doing, it's just a symptom of the matriarchal culture that we've adopted and how sexual liberation is being used to slay us all. This isn't me coming from some high horse. I wrestle with this every single day. I could be as foolish and as weak as Bill Belichick. But that's why I read the Bible. That's why I talk from a biblical worldview every day, because I'm trying to talk myself into holiness and not give in and be as dumb as Bill Belichick. And all of us need to acknowledge we're all capable of being as weak as Belichick. And then now you start thinking about, well, what are the solutions? We got to ban some of this stuff. A lot of it.
Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.